Hi everybody, coming on to see if any of you want to join me. This is a makeup time for a workshop that I didn't even post about. So I'm going to see if anybody joins me here. Come on and join me. I had a workshop planned, had a live Q&A planned, and it's exciting to get to do a live Q&A with you. So let me know if you're here. Tell me you're here, and let's do this. Our workshop today is about when the old ways of coping are not working anymore. So let me see if we're working here. Perfect. Okay. I think this is going to work. Let me know if you're with me. And today we're talking about a really juicy topic, and this is something that I know everyone can benefit from. I had a sick child sort of emergency today and needed to go and take care of her. And while everything's calmed down, I'm going to see if I can come and spend some time with you. So most of you know me already. If you don't know who I am, I'm Honor Janetsky. I'm the founder of Consciously Created Motherhood. And I help moms to move past anxiety and overwhelm who've been stuck for a long time. And I have lots that I want to share about. So today I've chosen a topic I hear a lot about from moms and from potential clients who I speak to on the phone. And that is that feeling of being really stuck, that feeling of realizing that the way that I've been coping for a long time is no longer a way that is working for me. And I'm going to share with you some tools to help you to assess yourself and notice if you're in that spot, and give you some ideas about what it means and help you to move forward. So stress happens, right? Stress is a normal part of life experience. It's something that is totally unavoidable. And that we're going to feel, that we're feeling people. We're emotional beings, and although most people that I know live in the head, like 99% of the time, at least before you come through awakened motherhood, there's still a whole part of us that is the body and the nervous system and the emotional body that feels a lot. Whether we know what to do with that or not, it is happening. And so many people are living in avoidance of what they're feeling and running on old coping skills when stress happens. And so, it's normal to experience moments of surprise or things that you weren't expecting, or something upsetting happens, or crisis, shock. All these things happen in life. And our response to those moments, our response to a child's tantrum, or to a partner blaming or insulting or disrespecting us, the way that we respond or react to those moments is a great place to really assess how we're doing in terms of our coping skills. Are we running on an old system that we created in childhood and just kind of putting along on the last gas, trying to make it all work? Or are we using new resources, resourcing ourselves, our higher self, in new ways to be able to meet life in the moment with presence of mind, of heart, and really move through the challenges as they come while maintaining our center. That's the goal, right? That we stay connected to ourselves and our wisdom, and can roll with what comes. So I'm going to share about that with you today. So think about yourself for a minute. Do you ever have moments where you find yourself reacting, you're overreacting, and you are not liking what you're doing? You're not liking the way that your voice sounds coming out of your mouth. You are not a fan of the behavior that you are exhibiting, and often this can come as a result of someone else delivering some big emotional bomb to you, like a young child. So if you have a kid who's going off, or if you have a high needs kid, stress is high in your household, then you are probably having a lot of opportunity to assess how you're doing in terms of your coping skills, and just where you are with those. Are they old? Are they new? So as an example, you pick up your kid from school after you've worked a really long day, and they come into the car and have a total epic meltdown, and you're thinking, I just wanted to get home. If only we could make it home one day in peace. And, also, I'm tired of bringing the snacks every day. I can't remember to bring the snacks. I can't do all the things. If you're, that's like, there's only room for things to go well. There's no room for anyone to have any kind of extra. And so then you're kind of running on fumes, and you find yourself reacting and joining your kid and how they feel, and you're boiling over or melting down as well, having a grown-up tantrum. If you're matching their behavior, if your partner comes in and you guys, instead of like, hello, how was your day? There's just an instant kind of tense interaction or vibe, or your partner says things to you that really hit all your buttons. If that happens and you find yourself just dropping down low and stooping to however, whatever language is coming at you, whatever energy is coming at you, you're just kind of biting back or pushing back or withdrawing and kind of going inward and feeling like crap about yourself. If that's happening, just notice, like, what stories is that bringing up? Those old coping skills are a web of thoughts and beliefs, and there are emotions tied to all of that. So when you have those moments of reactivity or shutting down or defensiveness, try to tune into and notice, where do you go? Do you get lost in story? Do you make meaning of that interaction? It's just sort of pushing you into kind of an older way of thinking or an older belief system that's not so helpful for you now. So those coping skills they were developed by your genius inner child. And this is something I teach my clients, that you are so brilliant to create this way of coping. You were so brilliant to learn how to fight or learn how to flee. These were things you needed to know for the patterns and dynamics in your household. But what happens in motherhood is that our children will they bring it, they turn the dial up. And when they do that, we find out what we're made of. We find out, like, all the places in us that we have not really flowed attention to and given room to heal. That's like their purpose for us, our soul family. So what stories are you going into? What kind of meaning are you making of what's going on in your world? And what thoughts of self-worth or lack thereof are you getting lost in when you're having these intense moments when life throws you a challenge? Do you make it about you, about ways that you're failing? Do you make it about them, ways they're falling short? Maybe you blame yourself for still being in this situation, this marriage, this partnership. You feel you've made a mistake. So these are all places people go. So many moms that I speak to are relying on sheer force of will. They are pushing to keep going every day with life the way it is. They're not aware that they're even moving so fast, or that they are breathing rapidly, that their nervous system is completely overtaxed and amped up. And so they're just racing from one thing to the next, hoping that nothing falls apart. Because if it does, they know they'll fall apart too. And so, the cup is always empty, and also it has a giant leak in it. So if you ever fill it, it's gone. Whatever you put in is just gone. Your cup really cannot hold water. And you don't know how to slow down. You don't even know what that means. And if you hear me say, I want to invite you to slow down, your body doesn't even know how to interpret that. It doesn't know what it means. And so it just feels like, that's just one more thing to do. I don't even know what you're talking about. Okay, so that's the first big chunk. All of these are ways that that you're relying on an old system of coping, an old system of tools. And that's a pretty slim toolkit, because the one we develop in childhood is pretty simplistic. It's pretty much about either things are either good or bad. It's black or white. Either I'm going to do it or I'm not. There's more than enough or there's not enough. And there's really no space in between for anything else. So your nervous system is hardwired for whatever situation you grew up in. So your brain then sort of only allows certain kinds of thinking. And your body is hooked into your mindset and your emotions, and it's all connected. So your nervous system is really the one in charge, and it's determining how mindful you can be. It's determining how kind and loving you can be. It's determining your memory and your ability to connect and be in the present moment. All of these things are off limits to you if you're working on the old system. So you may find a lot of my clients say, like, I can feel good for a few minutes, or I can have a good morning, and then it falls apart. And that's really common before you learn how to switch over and build the new system. You've got to have something new to go to. You can't just stop being the things, stop being reactive, stop being overwhelmed, and then just be, like present all the time. You have to learn something new. You got to build a new track for your train, so that when you change it over, you know what you're doing and where you're headed. And it's really conscious. It's really intentional, and you're developing new ways of coping on that new track. Okay, does that make sense? Tell me if you are tracking me. And I see some of my clients here, and I know you're tracking me. Thank you for joining me. I can't quite see who it is, but my phone tells me when someone on my friend list is here. So tell me if this is making sense, and I'm going to see if I can find some comments coming up. Okay, and ask me questions if they come up. So the idea of doing anything differently when you are running on an old system is just going to feel like one more thing to do. It's going to feel like an added stress. And I hear that all the time from people who are who don't quite get that the path to change is about building new ways of thinking and feeling. It's about building new ways of interpreting your stimuli and perceiving your world, and it's about calming down your nervous system. So instead of the inner work to shift to newer coping skills and strategies and ways of being able to be present and loving, feeling like a thing to do, it's more like an unwinding is a way to think about it. We're unwinding old patterns and really coming back into your authentic self and your true self. And from that place, connected to your divine wisdom, connected to your truth, anything that you want, you can call in, you can create. Our lives are really manifestations of what we believe we can have on the inside. And when I say believe, I mean it's unconscious. We aren't aware of what we're walking around thinking, I can have that, I can't have that, I get to have this kind of relationship. My kid I get to enjoy my child. Motherhood doesn't have to be hard. These are thoughts we need to consciously create through a really intentional process if we want to call these things into our now experience. Otherwise, everything you see is basically an unconscious creation. And so a lot of the work that needs to happen is down deep. It's in the deeper layers of your mind. It's buried in the body, and it's in the imprints that we carry with us. So from the old system, from the tax system and the old coping skills that you've been carrying for decades with you, the idea of doing things differently really is too much. It really does cause overwhelm. You're right if you feel overwhelmed by trying to force change where you are now without help and support. The reason why it feels like you're failing, you're tripping over yourself, you're easily frustrated, or you just can't get the change to stick is because you haven't changed the underlying system. And without going into too much detail, I'm hoping that you're tracking this and that it makes sense to you. I hear a lot of women, a lot of potential clients that I speak to, saying that they've tried meditating, they've gone to yoga, or they go to the gym. They go to the gym every day. They do a lot of beautiful things for themselves, beautiful on paper. But nothing really shifts because the internal dialogue is the same. The body is holding the same tension in the same way, and the nervous system is operating at a really, at a high. All right, so all of those things are contributing factors to how you are functioning under stress now. And if you want to change your own responses and reactions to stress, then you have to you have to access all of those layers, and you have to do the work kind of, underneath the hood to really shift over to operating in a whole new way, running on a new engine. And, I'll give you an example. So a lot of people that I speak to on the phone will say, I've struggled with stress or anxiety for a really long time. I can remember being really sensitive as a kid. Can remember, hi Laura, I'm glad you're here. Come back and watch later. I've struggled with it since childhood, or I was always a sensitive kid, and I was always overwhelmed by maybe social settings, or maybe just family dynamics. But no one really, I felt out of place, or no one ever really got me, or I just thought I was crazy. I couldn't sort of find my footing or my grounding, or I didn't have anybody to help me. And I carried that through into adulthood, not knowing how to change it. And it was okay enough. My level of functioning, my coping skills were serving me enough, but now I can see that my reactions or my anger or my overwhelm is impacting my kids, and that's not okay. And I hear that a lot. So if you find that you're in that place where you're reacting in anger, you're lashing out, or you're being rigid and you don't like it, or you're finding that you're just worrying so much that you're not able to really cut loose and have fun with your kids, you're not having the dance parties, you're not enjoying them, really, really enjoying them, and you want more. You want to be able to just melt into their beautiful little dreamy little faces and connect on a deep level with how incredibly miraculous it is that you have this person in your life to show you so much about you and to share so much joy with. If you're not able to really get there effortlessly, without pushing, without efforting, without bullying yourself into it, you just can't find the door. You just can't find how to unlock that. Then you're probably running on really old coping skills. And if you want more, then it's a good thing to know that what's possible for you. To know that if you do the internal work to really shift and open and make those breakthroughs that are keeping you stuck, that are, you're running on the old engine, the only stuff that's possible for you is what was possible before when that engine developed. And so a lot has changed. You're a mother, you're in another phase of your life now, and you have children challenging you on a daily basis, most likely. And it is one big fat invitation. That's what motherhood is. So what I see in this phase of life is that it feels like I coped for a long time and it worked out okay, but now my life is really bringing it. Everything is kicking up a notch. It feels like I have so many plates spinning that I don't know even how to hold a focus anymore. I can't listen to my child complete a sentence. There's just too much going on, and I have no idea what it even means to slow it down. So if that feels familiar, then it really is your life inviting you into a new shift. And just going to speak from my experience here, my expertise. The longer you fight it off, the longer you try to just white knuckle through, the more tired you're going to be, the more you're going to put it on your kids because it's just too much to carry alone. the more you're going to want to blame your partner and grow distance in your relationship, because it's just intolerable. It's intolerable to keep pushing through something that you just cannot accept as good enough anymore. And some people call this like life falling apart, and some people call it spiritual awakening. And both are true, however you see it. Whichever way you see it is what's true for you, what becomes true. I like to call it the breaking open point. And to me, breaking open is about coming into your own vulnerability, which is opening up to your own strength, to your own transformation. And, if you find that you're tired of arguing for what you want or enabling patterns of codependency or enmeshment with your partner, you want to just feel you again. You want to know what it's like to take care of you in a real way, to resource so that you're ready to be a mom, to own all of your feelings and what's true for you, and speak to that and ask for what you need. All of this comes from you tuning in to you and that higher truth, that highest truth of yours. If you're tired of poverty mindset, which is like there's never enough, there's not enough time, there's not enough money, there's not enough patience in the world for me to do this life justice. If you're circling in that kind of thinking, then you're always going to feel like you're failing. Of course you are. And you don't have to be doing it the way you're doing it. It is not the only way to do it. So you may have been avoiding this point for a long time, and motherhood has a way of bringing us into a big reflection with the parts of ourselves that are ready to move and change, that aren't quite caught up with the times. And I just can't imagine that any of us are designed and wired to do that work alone. So you don't need to know the whole path. And I've said this before. You just need to ask, what's the next step for me? What is the next step? Don't worry about the how. Let your higher power take care of that. Don't worry about the how. Don't worry about seeing the whole path, analyzing it, understanding it. You only need to come into connection with your heart and say, what is the next step for me? What do I want? What's not good enough here for me anymore? Meaning, what am I so done tolerating? What pattern has to go? What am I really ready to show up for myself for and change? Those are all great questions to ask. I think it's a great thing when you really realize I'm ready to be done with this. I think that is a beautiful breaking open point, and whatever comes after that, if you continue to seek and find resources and help and decide like it's worth it to invest in me because I'm worth it and I do love my life and I get to love it. I don't have to always be in struggle. It doesn't have to feel so hard. If you really do believe there's something else for you, then all you need to do is just get clear on that decision that you're ready to move on, and the resources show up. That's how law of attraction works. So when you trust in yourself to know what you want, and you follow that thread, and you ask for support, it will come in the form of resources, in the form of a guide, in the form of healing that you need, whatever it is. And so that feeling like I can't tolerate this anymore, I'm so done with this pattern, I'm ready to let someone in, to me is one of the greatest shifts that we can make. I've had many of those in my own life, and the clients who come to me have had many as well. They have had a lot of different points where they've stepped into the stream and really let someone in and let someone help, and often have tried lots of things that have not stuck for them by the time they find me. So if what we're talking about here is something that really speaks to you, it calls to you, and you do feel that this is a phase of your life that there's an offering in it for you, that you know there's more that you're wanting in terms of creating peaceful connections and healthier relationships, and being able to drink in the moments so that it doesn't just pass you by in a flash and then you go, gosh, time flies. I don't ever, like, to me, that breaks my heart when I hear people say time flies, or where did that time go, and they have young kids. Because what that says to me, because I just, I can't let anything go the way my mind works. I'm just always looking at the underneath layers. But what that says to me is that you missed it. You know, you missed it because you were lost in thought, or in worry, or in past regret, or in fear, when what you want to be doing is tracking every moment and making memories and impacting your kids in a way that feels really meaningful for you and for them, so that when you are building, like, these are the years when they're young that you're building those trusting relationships, and then as they grow, you're their person, you're the one they always come to, you're the one that they look to for help and support. So if this is clicking for you and you have questions, post them below. I'm not seeing any, but let me know. I can check back. So if you have questions about this and you want to know more, put them below, and I'm so happy to chat with you about those. As well as I just, two last things. One is I really want to encourage you to tap into yourself for those inner resources. And one good question to ask to help you get some clarity just on your own is, what am I so tired of tolerating? And it's a really helpful question to ask, because you'll find that on a daily basis, you are tolerating all kinds of things that are leading to meltdowns and blow-ups that you don't even really realize are happening. You don't even really realize you're accepting these patterns that are not aligned for you. They are not a part of your highest self, and they're really not what's up for you. They are reflections of things that are ready to be shed and ready to fall away, so that you can grow and expand. So ask yourself, what is it that I'm so sick of? I'm so tired of this. I'm ready for this to fall away. And then sit and tune in and listen and see what you hear. And the other piece is, if you want help getting that and other clarity, then feel free to reach out to me. You can book a call. I'll put my calendar link below the talk after this is over. And feel free to reach out to me. And what we do on the call is talk about what feels like a lot for you right now, what feels like the problem, or what's weighing on you, and what are you wanting instead. So what are you wanting to create that you're not knowing how to create? And then I'll let you know if I can help you get there. Okay. All right. Hit me with your questions. So much love to you. Really hope that you all can watch this workshop back, and so important too to hear what sticks for you. So what are you taking away with you? What stood out to you? Was it helpful? Let me know. Lots of love. See you soon.